When DJ Quik and MC Eiht, two heavyweights from Compton, one repping Bloods and the other a Compton Crip, decided to go at it, you already know it wasn't gonna end well.
Honestly, to me, this Quik got started over just people's misunderstandings of He was a Blood, I was a Crip. Okay, that was natural.
From DJ Quik dropping one of the coldest diss lines ever.
I can dedicate this song to my fiance, MC Eiht. Eiht. Now should I continue? Yeah, he left out the G cause the G ain't in you.
To folks actually getting shot over this beef.
You said that in Compton, people get shot at for playing DJ Quik in their car sometimes.
I got shot at. We was going up Rosecrans and Central, and I was bumping this in my Cadillac, and we just heard pop, pop, pop. I hit the corner and kept pushing.
This was one of the most heated rap beefs that turned into gang war. Let's get into it. Both DJ Quik and MC Eiht had rough upbringings in Compton. Quik was the youngest of 10 siblings, and his childhood wasn't exactly picture perfect. His father walked out early, and Quik only met him once in his life.
My mom sent me to go spend some time with my dad when I was like maybe 4 years old. He taught me how to make a paper airplane, and he left.
Despite that, he found a love for music early on. For his 8th grade graduation, he got a turntable as a gift, and that moment low-key sparked the beginning of something major.
Back then, mixing vinyl, you kind of had to have innate sense of rhythm to do that. I could put on 2 records and blend a 3rd record with it, you know what I'm saying, or overdub cassette with it and have 3 things playing at one time.
But life wasn't done testing him. At just 16, things took another hit when his family's house got foreclosed. His mom moved out to Louisiana, but Quik stayed behind in Compton. He was homeless for almost 3 years, bouncing around and hustling just to get by. Music became his escape and his drive.
16 years old, going on 17, homeless. At this point, I'm just kind of going from apartment to apartment. I needed an address to continue to go to school in Compton, and I didn't have that address. That was the worst time of my life, actually. One of them.
That's when he took on the name DJ Quik and dropped the C on purpose to show his affiliation with the Bloods. By 1987, Quik was grinding heavy. He started pressing and selling his own mixtapes around Compton, with the red tape being the one that really started making noise. Word spread, and soon the industry started noticing him. Profile Records came through and offered him a deal in 1990, officially kickstarting his rap career. But Quik was so hot at that point that even Eazy-E wanted to sign him. Eazy reportedly offered Quik $1 million advance to join Ruthless Records, but Quik had already signed with Profile, and Profile wasn't having it. They slapped Ruthless with a cease and desist, killing the deal. Despite the drama, Quik and Eazy stayed cool.
I always wanted to be like that. I always wanted to sound like him. I wanted to get my jerry curl done at the same place he got his done at. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's one of the just easy going.
Easy used to come to my house, knock on the door, come inside, and kick it. Like, bro, you a millionaire.
Still, Quik had his issues with Profile. Even though they helped put him on, he later said they played him when it came to money. He had to fight just to get paid what he was owed.
Profile was a curse and a blessing at the same time. I mean, they put us out there, but they didn't pay us.
On the flip side, MC Eiht's story was just as real. He was born right into the chaos. By the time he was just 5 years old, Eiht had already seen how rough life in Compton could get.
Coming from the hood, coming out of Compton, well, basically, I started off a couple of years ago, mixed up in the gang, maybe a little drug dealing or something like that.
Eventually, he jumped off the porch and got deep into the gang lifestyle. He was a Compton Crip through and through, and he never hid it. He admitted to gangbanging, dabbling in drugs, and losing friends to the streets. Some got locked up, others didn't make it out alive. But instead of letting it eat him up, Eiht used those experiences to fuel his music.
Growing up in the neighborhood, you see a lot of stuff that happens and goes on with the police. As for a way for me to get out of the gang situation, I tried to take my position into what I had learned from the homies who had passed and the homies who were in jail.
He saw how music had the power to connect with people in the hood. Didn't matter if you were a Blood or a Crip. Everyone could relate to the pain and reality he was rapping about. That realization pushed him to take music seriously.
I took that into a form to where, I could get that to to homies in every hood. Y'all might not claim Crip or y'all might not claim Bloods, you know, but you still got a gang of brothers who's together and who's still down.
He took on the name MC Eiht, inspired by KRS-One's use of numbers in his name. The 8 wasn't random, it represented things that meant something in the streets, like .38 caliber guns and oldie English 800 malt liquor, aka 8 Ball. By the mid-80s, 8 linked up with Compton's Most Wanted, CMW, and that became the foundation of his rise. But as fate would have it, his path was bound to cross with DJ Quik's, and when it did, things didn't go smooth. The beef between DJ Quik and MC Eiht officially kicked off around 1987. It all started with a line Quik dropped on a track called Real Doe, a cut from the red tape. Quik made a slick reference to CMW, and word got back to MC Eiht. The rivalry between DJ Quik and MC Eiht kept heating up as their careers started taking off. On January 15, 1991, DJ Quik dropped his debut album, Quik is the Name. One of the tracks, Deep, caught some attention because of its third verse. Fans speculated that Quik threw shade at MC Eiht and CMW, referencing their track One Time Gaffled 'Em Up, which talks about police brutality. In the verse, Quik allegedly implied that CMW acted tough until the cops showed up. By that summer, CMW came back strong with their album Straight Checkin' M, released on July 16, 1991. The album featured the track Death Wish, which many believe was a direct response to Quik. The first verse contained what sounded like threats aimed at Quik, and in the second verse, Eiht seemed to call out Quik by name, even referencing their earlier diss exchanges like CMW's track Duck Sick.
Compton psycho, biting me quick with me, you get the duck sick.
This had fans buzzing even more, but Eiht later denied that Death Wish had anything to do with DJ Quik. In an interview with DJ Vlad, Eiht claimed the diss was all a misunderstanding, saying he didn't even know who Quik was at the time.
I had a song called Death Wish. In the song, it had a verse that said, biting me quick would mean you get my sucked quick. People took that to say I was dissing Quik.
Interesting. Okay.
I never knew him. It was just a phrase to me.
However, fans weren't convinced. Eiht's story didn't add up, especially since Quik's earlier disses had specifically called out CMW, not all Crip-affiliated rappers as Eiht claimed. Eiht even suggested that Quik dissed NWA, particularly Eazy-E, but that theory didn't hold water either. Quik and Eazy-E were known to be friends, with Eazy even trying to sign Quik to Ruthless Records.
He had a song on there where he was talking about shooting me and NWA, Eazy-E, from the top of the tree, because he was from Treetop.
All this back and forth made Eiht's denials hard to believe, and fans pointed out that the timeline of events didn't quite match his story. Regardless of the exact starting point, by this time the beef was undeniable. Some fans trace it back to 1987 when Quik first called out CMW on the red tape. Others think it really escalated with CMW's Duck Sick in 1990. Either way, the tension was real, and it wasn't long before Quik decided to fire back. On July 21, 1992, Quik dropped his second album, Way Too Fonky. Quik didn't hold back and addressed MC Eiht on not one but two tracks. The album's title track, Way Too Fonky, featured a mix of subliminal and direct shots at Eiht. In the second verse, Quik directly called out CMW's track Death Wish and made it clear he wasn't going to let the diss slide. Then came the album's closing track, The Last Word, where Quik got even more personal. He shouted out his crew and supporters, but when it came time to address his beefs, Quik got ruthless. His comments about Eiht were sharp, disrespectful, and left no room for misinterpretation.
And all the rappers from Compton, except one, a no-rapping monkey face, one hit, having simple-minded punk ass nigga from CMW.
Of course, MC Eiht wasn't going to let DJ Quik's disses slide. Later that year, on September 29, 1992, CMW dropped their album Music to Driveby, and Eiht used several tracks to fire back at Quik. On Duck Sick 2, Eiht went in on Quik, mocking him for making party tracks and clowning his high-pitched rapping style. Another track, Dead Men Tell No Lies, featured subliminal disses in the first 2 verses. Eiht didn't name names, but the target seemed obvious. It was likely aimed at DJ Quik. By the 3rd verse, Eiht got more direct, addressing Quik's earlier diss on Real Doe, where Quik had claimed he was going to shoot CMW off the top of the tree. Eiht called Quik out, asking why he even bothered to diss him on the underground tape in the first place. Then came Death Wish 2, where Eiht launched a full-scale lyrical attack on Quik. The Death Wish 2 music video took the beef to another level. In the video, there was a DJ Quik lookalike who appeared to be having nightmares about getting beaten and killed by CMW and Eiht. While all this was happening, DJ Quik was becoming more closely tied to one of the most powerful forces in hip-hop at the time, Death Row Records. Quik had a long-standing friendship with Death Row's infamous CEO, Suge Knight. Both men were from Compton and shared blood affiliations, so their connection wasn't surprising. Suge eventually brought Quik into the Death Row fold, where Quik worked on projects and was associated with the label, though he never officially released an album under the Death Row banner. Regardless, this affiliation gave Quik even more weight in the rap game, as Death Row was dominating the industry at the time. Interestingly, there was a moment of unexpected tension, or perhaps clarity, between MC Eiht and Suge Knight. Eiht's mom happened to live across the street from Suge's mother, which made for an awkward proximity given the beef between Eiht and Quik. One day, while Eiht was visiting his mom, Suge and his crew pulled up on him while he was driving through the neighborhood. Suge's goons approached Eiht's car, creating a tense moment, but Suge quickly diffused the situation. He told Eiht that the beef with DJ Quik wouldn't spill over into his mother's neighborhood. Essentially, Suge was giving Eiht reassurance that he didn't have to worry about any drama involving Quik or Death Row reaching his mom's doorstep. According to MC Eiht, one of his CMW crew members, the unknown DJ, allegedly tried to work with Death Row Records, but things didn't go well. Eiht claims that Suge Knight and his crew jumped him. By 1994, both artists were at pivotal points in their careers. DJ Quik had scrapped an entire album he'd been working on, feeling it wasn't up to par. He started from scratch, which delayed the release of his 3rd project. Meanwhile, MC Eiht was riding high with the release of his debut solo album, We Come Strapped, on July 19, 1994. This album kept the beef alive with yet another installment of the Death Wish series. But Quik wasn't the type to let that slide. He decided it was time to respond, and he didn't just throw in a few subliminals. He recorded a full-length diss track aimed squarely at MC Eiht. On October 18, 1994, Death Row Records released the Murder Was the Case soundtrack, and on it was Quik's explosive diss track, Dollars and Cents. Quik came out swinging in the first verse, taking shots at Eiht and even referencing the Tragnew Park Crip set that Eiht was associated with. He got personal, mentioning a rumored airport confrontation between the two and calling Eiht out by his real name, Aaron Tyler. Quik clowned Eiht for calling himself the Compton Psycho and questioned his street credibility.
Tell me why you seem so tame when I caught you at the airport shaking.
The second verse delivered more heat, but it was the 3rd verse where Quik dropped one of the most iconic lines in diss track history. Even Quik admitted in interviews that when he wrote that verse, he knew it was game over.
Now should I continue? Yeah, you left out the G, cause the G.
The G ain't in you. And I slid the pencil across the bottom of it, and I got up and walked away from the table. I knew that was...
Dollars and Cents was an instant classic, solidifying itself as one of the greatest diss tracks of all time and proving Quik's genius when it came to battle rap. Fast forward to February 21, 1995, and Quik finally dropped his highly anticipated 3rd album, Safe Plus Sound. Released under Profile Records but executively produced by Suge Knight, the album featured Dollars and Cents, and even more tracks taking aim at MC Eiht. On Let You Have It, Quik addressed Eiht again, this time revisiting the infamous line from Real Doe off the red tape where he rapped about the top of the tree. Quik clarified that the line wasn't even a diss, it was just his way of saying he was on the rise and letting CMW know he was coming for his spot. This is where the beef starts to get a little tricky to follow. MC Eiht had repeatedly claimed, both in interviews and on wax, that DJ Quik dissed him on the track Real Doe, saying something about shooting him off the top of the tree. But the truth is, Quik never actually said that. So it's possible that Eiht completely misinterpreted what Quik meant or twisted the line in his mind to mean something it didn't. Things took a darker turn just a few weeks after Quik dropped his album Safe Plus Sound. On March 13, 1995, Death Row hosted an after-party at the El Rey Theater in Los Angeles following the Soul Train Music Awards. The event was supposed to be a celebration, but it turned violent when Kelly Jamerson, a member of the Rolling 60s Crips, showed up with some of his crew. A fight broke out between Jamerson and several Bloods, including DJ Quik. It wasn't just fists being thrown. Jamerson was beaten with chairs, bottles, and stomped on by a mob of people. Eyewitnesses later claimed that Suge Knight stood by, watching the chaos unfold, and shouted, "Y'all get that dude?" Jamerson's injuries were severe, and he was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, where he was put on life support. Tragically, he passed away the next day. By the summer of 1995, the beef between DJ Quik and MC Eiht wasn't showing any signs of cooling off. On August 3, 1995, the iconic Source Awards took place at the Paramount Theater in New York City. This night went down in history as one of hip-hop's most infamous events, primarily due to Suge Knight's speech that escalated the East Coast versus West Coast rivalry. But the night also marked a new chapter in the feud between DJ Quik and MC Eiht. DJ Quik took the stage to perform, knowing full well that MC Eiht was sitting in the crowd, in one of the boldest and most disrespectful moves in rap beef history. Quik performed his diss track Dollars and Cents right in front of Eiht. To make matters worse, Quik added extra disses both before and after the performance.
I'd like to dedicate this song to my fiance, MC Eiht. Now should I continue? Yeah, he left out the G because the G ain't in you.
MC Eiht, despite the provocation, chose not to react. Considering he was massively outnumbered by Suge Knight's Death Row entourage, he decided to leave instead. The tension in the air was thick, and with Suge stirring the pot on stage, Eiht realized that escalating the situation wasn't worth risking his life.
Did I think he was gonna pull the song? No, we all didn't. Because if you notice that the tension in the air that night, it was just
Right.
Death Row was out to say everyone.
Fast forward to April 9th, 1996, and MC Eiht fired back with his second solo album, Death Threats. On this project, he continued the Death Wish series with Death Wish 4, where he aimed to respond to Quik's relentless attacks. On the second verse, Eiht addressed the line from Dollars and Cents where Quik had claimed they ran into each other at an airport and that Eiht was scared. Eiht clapped back, calling the story fake and giving his version of what went down during the alleged airport encounter. As time went on, the feud between DJ Quik and MC Eiht began to cool down. By the late 90s, the rap scene had shifted, and DJ Quik was in a different place in his career. After witnessing the tragic losses of Tupac and Biggie, Quik wanted to move away from the gangsta rap sound that had defined so much of his earlier work. He was looking for growth, maturity, and a fresh perspective in his music. On July 14, 1998, DJ Quik dropped the first single from his upcoming album, Rhythmalism, called Use a Ganxta. This song marked a turning point. On the second verse, Quik addressed the long-standing feud with MC Eiht, mentioning that they used to have beef. The key word there was used to. In Quik's eyes, the conflict was over. He was ready to leave it all in the past and move forward. What stood out, though, was how Quik revisited the infamous El Rey Theater incident from 1995. In the track, he referenced the tragic beating of Kelly Jamerson, the Rolling 60s Crip who died after being attacked by Suge Knight's crew and Quik's affiliates. Interestingly, Quik framed the situation as though Jamerson was connected to MC Eiht, insinuating that the attack might have been part of the ongoing beef.
Used to have a beef with this cat named Eiht, and his homies approached me at the club El Rey. What was I to do? I'm on stage and I'm doing my thing.
At the end of Use a Ganxta, Quik did something unexpected. In the outro, he dedicated the song to Tupac, Biggie, and Kelly Jamerson, giving them a respectful rest in peace. Then, he took it a step further, saying that he'd even be open to collaborating with MC Eiht on a track. After the release of this song, the disses between DJ Quik and MC Eiht stopped completely. There were no more shots fired in songs, no subliminals, and no public feuding. The two artists seemed to move on with their lives and careers. A major turning point came on July 21, 1999, when DJ Quik and MC Eiht appeared together for an interview on BET. Seeing them side by side after years of back and forth was a powerful moment for fans, and a sign that the beef had been officially squashed. For many, it was a reminder of how far both artists had come since their early days in the Compton mixtape scene. Fast forward nearly 20 years later, and their reconciliation went a step further. On April 20th, 2017, DJ Quik and Problem dropped their collaborative album, Rosecrans. To the surprise of many fans, MC Eiht was featured on 2 tracks, Central Ave and Funny How Dude's Gonna Change Things. Hearing Quik and Eiht on the same songs felt like a full circle moment for West Coast hip-hop.